on the North Shore Sunday service on this wintry sub-zero day. And congratulations to everyone here that come here, and please, anybody out there that's thought about coming in, it's really not that bad out there. You only have to be out there so in the real cold for a few minutes. And it's warming up here. If you're joining Unity on the virtually or on Zoom or watching later on the social media, we're glad you're here. I'm yours truly, Ray Hatland, and I'll be the worship assistant for today. And our chaplain is going to be Jan Bellotti, who's heroically substituting in there just in time. Danny Bauer is our talented musician. And of course, Reverend Kurt, Reverend Kurt is our minister, but we're going to have we're particularly blessed this morning to begin with our Many Paths, One Source series. Reverend Kurt will tell us more about that and introduce today's esteemed guest speaker in just a few minutes. So let's bow our heads and do the opening prayer, okay? Holy Presence, we know that in God we can never be separate from love, from truth, from infinite intelligence, and the source of all good. We gather here in this sacred time to open our hearts and minds to the one power and one presence. We gratefully receive the energies of divine light and love pouring in and through us, and we affirm we are here this morning for a divine purpose. We trust that purpose is now being fulfilled, for we know we are now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. Unity is a positive and practical approach for the spiritual being, for a spiritual living based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. We believe there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition. We honor the many paths to the one God. Wherever you are on your journey of faith, you are always welcome here. Our purpose at Unity on the North Shore is to create a safe space where people are empowered and can take risks and live their deepest truth. If this is your first Sunday, we extend a loving welcome. Many of us here were surprised to learn that this was a spiritual community that thought and believed the same things we did. Felt like coming home. We hope your experience this morning is powerful and that you'll return. Now please all stand for our group song, which should be up on the screen.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. One more time. Get ready, my soul.
Good morning. I have the daily word. If most of us know about serving, and this was what the daily word is on this morning. I bring God's love into the world through service. I don't need special skills to be of service. I have willing hands and an open heart. Channeling of God's love to be directed wherever they are needed most. This impulse to serve is my compassionate nature, seeking expression. I respond to the needs around me by doing what I can to help. I do not think of reward or recognition. Just of being service fills my heart. Serving is a wonderful way to feel close to God. My loving heart is open and my hands are busy, and my life feels purposeful. When I'm doing what I can to brighten one person's life or to make the world a better place. I feel God's presence strongly as I serve and share the love and care of the divine. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. Matthew 25:35. And let's remember, as Martin Luther King's Day is coming up tomorrow, we all can be of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. So I'm Reverend Kurt, if we've not met before, and to those of you online, thanks for your patience getting going. This is really an amazing Sunday. I'm very excited about the launch of our Many Paths, One Source series. And I think there's a bit of divine synchronicity in the fact that it's unfolding today, as Jan mentioned, the day before we begin celebrating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I found this quote that I think really moves us into a kind of nice energy around what this work is about as we move forward. Or wait, before I share the quote, a little bit more about Many Paths, One Source. So this is the first service of 6 that once each month for the next 6 months, we have invited a guest speaker in to help us understand and maybe open our hearts and minds to a different tradition, a different religion, a different spiritual path, so that we can increase our own sort of awareness. And also, the other gift is that it really helps us to clarify our own beliefs as we begin to sort of bump those up against what others believe, and really create a greater potential for us to be a presence of love and understanding and compassion at a time when that just doesn't seem to be a major dynamic in a lot of the world right now. So Martin Luther King wrote, this was I believe it was in a Christmas sermon back in the 60s at some point. If we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation. And this means that we must develop a world perspective. So part of what I think this opportunity for us to really engage in a real educational and even experiential experience of different traditions is it allows us to do just that, to sort of expand beyond the worldview that we might have and really step into that which we share with other religions, with others. So I'm really excited that, well, before we do that, I think because it is sort of the launch of of Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Danny, if you could help us here, I think it would be really helpful to move into sort of a heartful space by joining together and singing We Shall Overcome. We're not going to do the whole song, but just a couple of stanzas that is written by Joan Baez. So please stand again, and we're going to sing We Shall Overcome. We are overcome. We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, we do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
So our guest speaker today comes from the Hindu tradition. His name is Subala Dasa. And what I met him for the first time this morning, and what you'll notice, I think, you'll probably see this online too, is that both he and his wife has this incredible gleam in their eyes. They just sort of radiate that sense of inner joy that is such a gift to behold and to be in the presence of. So I think we're really blessed by that. I also realized that Joe Zephron, who has organized this series for us, Many Paths, One Source Spirit, he mentioned that the inspiration for his kind of bringing this back to life again, it's a series that he's done before, but he was inspired to do this because when he was at World Religions, Department of World Religions back in July, he met Subala again and they reconnected, and Subala had suggested that he wanted to be out and doing this kind of work again, so I think it's completely appropriate that he's here to begin our series, to sort of launch it with us. He's served in many different leadership capacities within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. ISKCON is sort of I'll refer to that again. So ISKCON is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He's been involved in communities in New York, New Jersey, and Chicago. Between the ages of 22 and 31, he lived as a monk in the ISKCON ashram in New York City, deeply studying the Gaudiya Vaishnavaya tradition of Bhakti Yoga. Presently, with 40 years of experience in this tradition of bhakti, Subala Dasa teaches philosophy and practices bhakti yoga in a relatable and relevant manner that's very approachable for all those new and diverse audiences that he experiences and blesses. Additionally, he is a professional musician, so you'll notice we don't have a soloist with us this morning. He's going to be leading us through some chants and some really beautiful, I think, musical experiences that will help us to really step into the feeling of this tradition. And he was educated, his religious education came from the Berklee College of Music in Boston, and he lives here in Evanston with his wife, Krishna Karna Devi Dasi, here in Evanston. So please welcome with me, Subala Dasa.
Hello. Okay. So thank you so much, Reverend Kurt. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to be again with the community. I had the opportunity 2 times to be with you in the older building in Rogers Park. But anyway, it's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to connect again. And of course, I'm so honored to just be with you and share this time. Come here to share the ancient tradition that I represent. It is called Vaishnavism. It's a very ancient tradition in India, spiritual tradition, that goes so many, oh, we got it. How you did it? Well, a big clap to Jasmine. We were in such an anxiety trying to figure it out, and Jasmine was running up and down, and finally we got it. I got this PowerPoint just to make it, nice for you. So I thought to speak about something that I found it extremely, not only relevant, but it's something at the heart of our spiritual practices. And in one sense, it's a principle that is universal for all religions, and it's this principle of unity in diversity. And extremely relevant nowadays because it's something that we see in our world right now. There's so much conflict that have to do with the incapacity of the world people to embrace diversity and to be so caught in our differences. So this principle of unity in diversity is an universal principle of religion. And in fact, to be able to come to that position in our tradition is explained like this. To be able to come to the position of embracing diversity, we have to become God conscious. This is what our tradition tells us. And I want to share a little bit.
Do you want the
That would be great.
Okay. It's that moves it forward and that goes back.
Oh, fantastic,
And just
fantastic.
point it there. Correct.
Fantastic. So in our tradition, it is explained that we really have to come to that connection with the divine, with God, to be able to open our consciousness and embrace, the great diversity that God have given us, designed basically. So I'm going to speak a little bit about it, but I'll tell you a little bit about the tradition that I represent. It's called Vaishnava. Vaishnava. You can Google guru, like we call him. Vaishnavas is a tradition, it's an ancient tradition in India, in the spirituality of India that understand that the supreme personality of Godhead, or there is a supreme being. The absolute truth is a supreme being. And it's an ancient tradition that you can track down. If you go to India, anyone have been in India here? It's wonderful. So when you go to India, there's places that you go, very, very ancient, at least 5,000 years old temples that are dedicated to Vaishnavism. So you have beautiful temples, gigantic, massive temples that worship the personality of Godhead with so much tradition and devotion, beautiful architecture, and gigantic, really. And there's so many thousands and thousands of years. And the traditions has been maintained. So in the school that I come from, there are within Vaishnavism, there are 4 schools. My religion represents one of those schools of thought in Vaishnavism. So in my tradition, we understand there's 3 things basically. It's a very deep philosophical explanation. I'm going to go a little bit out of the limb here and share with you a little bit of philosophy, and hope I do it in such a way that is relatable and that I can connect with you on that. But there's very deep religion, but there's 3 things that we focus. We can say, in a nutshell. you can explain the philosophy of Vaishnavism. So Vaishnavism first the first thing that we must understand is who is God. And when we talk about God, we consider in our tradition that the absolute truth is a supreme being, the supreme personality of Godhead. So God is a person. That's the first thing. But not a person like us, a supreme being. And a supreme being that is such that everything emanates from him. Is the origin of everything. Is the origin of the creation. Is the origin of everything. Supreme being. Supremely independent. Supremely good. And no one is equal or greater than. That's the definition of God. And then we must understand who we are, the spirit soul. We are an eternal part and parcel of God. That's what our tradition tells us. We are an eternal being that have an eternal relationship with the supreme being, a loving relationship with the supreme being. Different than the body. The spirit soul is an eternal being that have no birth and no death. It's an eternal being that is in this, like right now, in our circumstance, we are in a temporary world, or in another, let's say like this. I'm an eternal being in a temporary world. Some of you are, from the times, when Police, there was this band called Police, who was very famous in the 80s. And they had a song that goes, I'm spirit in the material world, I'm spirit, like that. Remember? Who remembers that? We come from the same time. Most of us. So, we're spirits in the material world. So the body is like, when you are in an incompatible environment, you have to put a suit to be able to function in that body environment. So if we want to go out of space, we put a space suit, and then we can function there. If we want to go into the deep ocean, then we put, scuba diving or something like that. When we come into this material world, we need this body. This body allows us to function in this temporary world. The body is matter. So the body takes birth, dies, changes, all that. But the spirit soul is eternal. So that's one of the main principles that we learn in our philosophy. And the next one is God's creation. God's creation, God's energies, supremely powerful. God's creation, the whole cosmic manifestation, is not only material but also spiritual. So we have these two realities that we learn when we observe God's creation and when we study God's creation. There's a spiritual reality and there's material reality. The spiritual reality, it is explained that is eternal, it never changes, it's the spiritual quality. The material reality is temporary and it's always changing. So it's like you have opposite things here. Now, the explanation is that we, the living entity, are part of the spiritual energy of God, the spiritual reality. So these three things are very important to understand when we tried in our tradition, in the tradition that I represent, to become God conscious or to cultivate consciousness of God. We call it Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is the name of God in our tradition. That means the supremely attractive personality. And Krishna consciousness is God consciousness. So these three things are very important. So we have these two realities. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is like the Bible for us in our tradition, is arguably one of the most important spiritual texts that you can find in India. And just because of your kind invitation, that's something that at the end of the service, we have one Bhagavad Gita as a gift for you. Each one of you who wants or doesn't have a Bhagavad Gita. My wife is back there, Krishna Archana, and we're going to pass it. So please take one. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, the personality of God, this beautiful book, Bhagavad means God, and Gita means the Song of God. So in our tradition is the words of God for ourselves, the guidance that is given us. So it's a book of wisdom in which it says these two things. Those who are seers of truth have concluded that of the non-existent matter, there is no endurance. Notice here that matter is described as non-existence. So it can get confusing. What do you mean? You mean that this is not existence, so it's confusing. It is existence. There's substance. So what is the meaning of not existence? We're going to explain it a little bit. But just take it like that. There's no endurance. That's the key. It's non-existent because there is no endurance. So when we see things, when we step back and start to see at the bigger picture, when we have something that is existing now and gone tomorrow. So when you look at the back, then you may say that this is because of the temporary nature, it doesn't exist. So that's the philosophical sort of understanding of that. And then it says, of the eternal, there is no change. So you have these things that when you have something that never changes, then that is real substance. When something is constantly changes, that is temporary, then you can hold to it. It comes and goes. So that's when it says that substance is not there. So these seers of truths, they have concluded that by studying the nature of both. This is in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is a very nice image that the teachers of our tradition explain to give us, an understanding of this principle. When you see a tree with flowers and fruits, and then you see the reflection in a very still lake of that tree. Now, the forms that you see there are equal. But if I try to reach into the lake, I'm in the lake and I'm trying to reach and grab that fruit of that form that I see in the lake, there's no substance. I cannot grab anything. To really be able to enjoy the fruit, I have to go to the origin of that reflection. So, the spiritual reality for us is the real, is our reality. The reflection which is in the material world of the spiritual reality is something that have no substance for the soul. So therefore, in our tradition, it is explained that it's most important that we understand that our connection with the world have to do when we are connected with God. And everything that we do, every single thing that we do it strengthens and represents that connection. From the most simple thing as eating, sleeping, working, relationships, anything that we do, any sacrifice, any work, any type of worship is all for the pleasure of God. And that's a reality, that's a spiritual reality. And when we function within that spiritual reality, there is substance. And therefore, there is satisfaction of the self. Then there is happiness. When we try to achieve happiness by enjoying the reflection, then we find ourselves frustrated because there's no endurance for that. None of us, because we are eternal beings, therefore we don't relate to anything temporary. So we don't relate to temporary happiness. We all want to be happy. It's part of the nature of the soul. The soul is happy, is blissful. It's just the nature of it. So if I want to be happy, if I tell you, yes, we all want to be happy, but here's the condition. It's just going to be for 10 years. After that, sorry. Then what would you say? No, I think I'm going to look for some other, alternatives here, No one wants temporary thing. We don't relate to getting old. We don't relate to getting sick. We don't relate to dying. We don't relate, because these are not natural for us. So therefore, there's so much effort in our society to try to counteract these natural events. But we can't do anything about it. So these type of things, when we try to find happiness without connection of our eternal nature, our spiritual nature, then it's always going to lead to unhappiness, to suffering. And that follows by conflicts and all type of things. So, to understand the absolute truth, spiritual is considered absolute. Absolute means that it's truth in all circumstances. So, we want to understand the absolute truth. The mandate that is given in our tradition, the tradition that represents the Sanskrit term is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. That is Sanskrit. Now that you have this human body, you must inquire about the absolute truth. You must search for the absolute truth. So, this is where it comes this principle of unity in diversity. The philosophy that in the tradition that I represent explains the absolute truth is called, the Sanskrit term is Achintya Veda Aveda Tattva. Tattva means truth. Veda, Aveda means oneness and difference. So Achintya Veda Aveda Tattva. Simultaneously, one and different. that is the philosophical treatise or the philosophical path that allows to understand the absolute truth in this tradition. So again, simultaneously one and different. So that is something that, from our experience, is something that is not easily conceivable. You know, either you're one or you're different. But to be the two simultaneous, then it gets difficult to understand. But when we talk about the spiritual reality, then that's how it's going to be understood. The spiritual reality must be simultaneously one and different. Not only one, not only different, but one and different at the same time. So I explain a little more about it. So we have these two examples. And this is a very important, it's an example right now that gives us an idea, a framework. But the philosophical concept is very important in our tradition. So we have the sun and the sunlight. So the sun and the sunlight, you can separate. They're one. When the sun rises, immediately the sunlight is automatically there. They're one. They're one thing. But the sunlight is also different. The sunlight is the energy that emanates from the sun. So then you have two elements, the energetic and the energy. Now you have two different things. You can separate them, they exist, they're together, they unify, but they're also different. One depends of the other. So if I say, in the morning I open my curtains of my room and say, oh, the sun is in my room. The sunlight have come into your room, but if you say, if literally the sun, planet have been in my room, then, we're born. It's not possible. So there's a difference between the energy and the energetic source. So that's the one thing. But they're also one. The other example, if we capture one drop of the ocean and we analyze that drop has exactly the same constitution, the same elements that the ocean has, the same characteristics. So they're one in quality, exactly the same in quality, but there's a difference. The drop has those qualities in a very minute quantity, and the ocean has those qualities in an unlimited quantity. So these two examples help us understand our relationship with God. God is the one without a second. Is the source of everything. Is the energetic source. Everything is His energy. So we're one with God because we're His energy. We cannot be separated from Him. We're His part and parcels, His extension. We're not separated from Him. We exist eternally with Him. However, God is the energetic, we are the energy. We cannot ever be, and there are some places, especially when we're talking about Hinduism, and there's certain schools in Hinduism that focus on the difference, and certain that focus on the unity. So there are certain schools that tell you that we all God, we are one with God. in the tradition that I represent, it is very clearly explained that we cannot be equal to God. We are God's energy. We're connected eternally with God, but not we are God. That defies the word God. God is one without a second. So, that's an important thing. And the other thing about the drop is that we have the qualities of God. We are godly in qualities. But our qualities are very, very minute. Those same qualities are unlimited. And that's the difference. That's, how we understand this simultaneous one and different philosophy to study the absolute truth. So unity and diversity is based on that principle of oneness and difference, simultaneous. So, to come together, especially in a message that we people of God are trying to bring to the world. We're trying to share with the world this wonderful gift of our relationship with the personality of Godhead, the love of God. And we're trying to share this with the world because that's exactly what is needed. That's exactly what is needed. To do that, we have to be able to recognize and to embrace the wonderful diversity that God has created in his cosmic manifestation. It's not by mistake or it's not by chance, it's by design. Why diversity? I mean, someone may ask, why make it so complicated? Why not just one clear religion that everybody have to follow? Why we have to have this revelation and that scripture and these different languages and these different things? It would be easy. Why did God? Probably would have been better when he created, he just made one thing, But some can understand that diversity or variety is the mother of enjoyment. If you have something that is homogeneous, always the same, then you get bored. Remember, God is a person, and we have his own qualities. We like diversity. We like to change, to do things differently. We like to experience things. Where is that coming from? Where that propensity is coming from? But from God. So there is diverse. Not only this world is diverse, but this world is a reflection of the spiritual reality. And in our tradition, it's explained that the spiritual reality is full of diversity. Full of diversity. But all that diversity has one focus: their loving relationship with God. Similarly, here, we, people of God, we can hold each other, connect with each other in the important work that we have to do in this world. We can open ourselves and embrace and appreciate and learn from each other. Because it is the will of God. So, unity in diversity is something that is a principle of God consciousness. When we have that type of capacity to embrace these differences and past the difference and being able to see what unify us. What is it? We all lovers of God in different traditions. And that's something that you can appreciate always in this congregation, that it have that type of openness and is happily and with generosity and with sincerity embark in that type of, embracing and accepting. And that's something that I appreciate very much, and I feel very honored to be with you. So, yes, we know it's needed because we have a world that is crying for it right now. There's so much suffering, and suffering comes simply because the world, and in one sense, we are trying to break ourselves from this disconnect with our spiritual reality. We're so invested in this material sort of encasement that we lose contact with our spiritual reality. And when we are in this position of ignorance of our spiritual reality, then our focus tends to be on the externals, on the differences. When we start to connect to our spiritual reality, then we can start to see that part that unifies us. So, diversity with no unity. This is the world right now. And also the teachers in our tradition tell us about that it will look like this. This image right there is like if you stand by a pond and you have all of us, I give you a stone and they say, okay, throw the stone into the pond. So we all start to throw the stones into the pond, and then whenever the stone enters the pond, it creates these concentric circles. But then as you start to concentric circles start to form in different spots, then the circles start to clash with each other, and then the whole pond becomes, all disturbed. That's the world right now. We have each one of people in the world is a center, and then it's about my concerns. It's about my mind, my space, my people, my situation, all this. So you have this one, you have this one, you have this one, all these different centers clashing with each other. Unity and diversity, if each one of us have one stone and throw it in the same spot, in the same spot, then you have a perfectly harmonious concentric circles, and there is no conflict. That center is our devotion to God. That center is our dedication and our life giving to our loving connection with the personality of Godhead. And when we start to function like that, then that's the key of a world without conflict. In a world without conflict, then we can appreciate harmony. It's like a symphonic orchestra. symphonic orchestra create this beautiful presentation, musical presentation, with so much power and harmony and beauty that you can appreciate. But as you can see, there's so many elements that are completely different. You have strings, you have horns, you have reeds, you have percussion, you have, all these type of things. And they're all so different. But when you put them together, it becomes a harmonic presentation. Oh, here's another example of beauty. When you have a beautiful vase made of so many different flowers, colors, shapes, it makes something very beautiful. So this is a message of unity and diversity. This is the principle of unity and diversity. How we can take all these different natures, all these different elements, and put them together as a beautiful offering for the personality, for the pleasure of the personality of Godhead. So much for philosophy. We're going to go, how much more time I have, Reverend Kurt?
Just enough. I don't know.
Just enough. Okay. So how about 5 more minutes? How's that? We're going to get, I'm going to share with you the means that we have in our tradition to spiritualize my consciousness, to be able to have a better position to absorb. Remember that whole slide of trying to understand the absolute truth. So in our tradition, it is said that you have to remove certain blocks in my consciousness to receive the message of the absolute. And we use this process, this process called Maha Mantra, or mantra meditation. Mantra, you have how many have heard that word, mantra? So we are very familiar. Mantra means in Sanskrit to free the mind. Manas and atraya is Sanskrit. So it's a process to free the mind from these obstacles, material obstacles. Maha means the great mantra. So the mantra that we chant is this Hare Krishna mantra. And the words Hare, so this is, I'm gonna lead you through a chanting of the mantra. So the word Hare is what we invoke the energies of the Supreme Lord. So we call him for the Supreme Mother, the female aspect of God, which is nourishing and give the blessings. And so that's when we say Hare. Hare is the divine energy of the Supreme. Krishna is a name of God that means the all-attractive Supreme Being, the all-attractive person. And Rama means a reservoir of all pleasure, spiritual and material pleasure. So you put them together and you chant this mantra. We go to that. But one of the things, so make me understand that what happens when we chant the mantra according to this tradition is like putting a piece of iron into the fire. This is the explanation that the teachers give us. Iron is a very thick element. But when we put it into the fire, what happened to the piece of iron? It takes the quality of fire. So the sound vibration of mantras, these are names of the personality of Godhead that have the quality of God and their spiritual sound vibration. When we are consciousness, that in this case is compared to iron, becomes in contact with the spiritual sound vibration, then my consciousness becomes spiritualized. So that's the idea. Okay, you ready? Should we do this? All right. So I'm going to play the drum, and you're going to sing with me. This is something that is called, we call it kirtan. Any of you have heard this word, kirtan? Yes. Kirtan is a glorification, it's a musical glorification of God through the chanting of mantras. So the mantra goes like this. I'm going to sing. Now, because this is a musical meditation, you have to listen carefully. So listen to the melody and listen to the rhythm. Now, this is a process of yoga, and the process of yoga is to focus the mind on the sound vibration, on the mantra. So it's very easy when you do it through music because you're listening very carefully to these elements. So let's see how it goes. I sing. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Can we try something else? Last thing? Okay, everybody stand up. Now, part of the thing, you see, this is the process of kirtan is a process of joy. So when you're happy, what do you usually do? You dance and you sing, right? So this is a spiritual practice, and we're going to do it in such a way that when we're going to chant the mantra, it's a call towards God. In the tradition, it's like that. We're calling to connect and to unify with the divine. And first of all, we approach our mother, and we call her to actually kindly take me. And, it's like a picture like this. You all fathers and mothers, most of you, I'm sure. So when you have the baby, raise the arms like that and call, pick me up. Like that? It's always this image, right? So we raise our arms, all of us. And then you raise your arms, and then at the same time, I'm going to show you a dance too. It's very simple. In my tradition, it's called the Swami step. Our teacher taught us this step. So you go like this. Left, right, like that. So when you call to the mantra, sing to the divine to please pick me. So like that. So do like that. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Don't forget we have a guitar for you, each one of you, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is this somebody?
I'll take it.
Where is it? Where's our speaker? There he is, okay. Anyways, now that's different. And I'm familiar with a lot of that philosophy, so it was kind of nice to get a little refresher course in that today. Thank you very much, Subala. And so now we can have our love offering. Okay. So we offer 3 simple ways, yes, to give. We can text. We can use the donate button on our website, which is the Unity website, or send checks through the mail. Details of all 3 are on the screen. There's the mailing address, 3434 Central Street in Evanston. For those of us here in the room, you can please place check or cash. At the door, there'll be a dish there for you, okay? Bowl, yeah. So now let's bless our giving and receiving. And if you're not actually giving in the exact moment, we invite you to set your intention to give as we speak aloud our offertory blessing. With joy and with gratitude, we affirm divine love as me, all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So it is, and amen. Please stand, please, for the song.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Okay, and by the way, that chanting, that Hare Krishna chant, 5 minutes isn't really fair. You know, you need to do it for 15 to a half hour, and then you're kind of floating around a little bit, okay? So I can tell you from experience, okay? Okay, everyone, now we're going to have our announcements. We have both happening in the next week, so please listen up. Many paths, one source. Today you have had the opportunity to hear our first of 6 speakers in our Interfaith Exploration series that we're calling Many Paths, One Source. As part of the exploration, we have a trip planned next Sunday evening to Subala Dasa's Hare Krishna temple in Chicago. All are welcome to attend this outing, but you must register in advance and participate in a short Zoom call to review out customs and protocols that are honoring and respectful for our hosts. To register or inquire about details, see Joe Saffron today at the table in the back of the room. You can also email him at Joseph Saffron at Gmail. I had this all separated, but this is,
Refer to the screen. That's good.
yeah. Let's do it again. Joseph Saffron at gmail.com. And Joe, can you stand? Right here. Hi, Joe. Okay. All right. Just take a peek over there. We are requesting that each participant bring a $20 donation to the temple when we visit as a gift of our gratitude. To see the schedule for the other speakers and outings in this series, please visit www.unityns.org. And now, there's also, tomorrow, there's a walk for warmth. We should have been walking maybe today, okay? For Martin Luther King's Day of Service.
Ray, I'm just going to interrupt on this one. We
Sure.
haven't heard yet that that's going to be taking place. Jasmine mentioned that the very point of it is for us to sort of recognize and support those who might be out in the cold. So it's a little bit of, but we'll see. Just check the website. We'll have a notice on the website if they are going to continue it, if you'd like to join us for the walk and work, if they are indeed going to have it. So thank you.
So should I continue reading this?
No, we're done with that.
Huh? We're done with that? Okay. Nobody tells me anything. Okay. Anyway, so, and again, if you can register for that, Unity, and it's going to be up to date, whatever is going to happen, or it's not completely canceled at the point.
We haven't heard confirmation that it is, but I would not at all. I'd be all surprised if they do
Yeah.
cancel. Yeah.
Okay. It is kind of cool out there, yes. If you have the UNS app on your phone, you can find event info there. That's it. So please attend now to join us in our peace song and prayer for protection.
Before our prayer for protection, I would love for us to just bless Subala. Those of you, well, you know what, here, just this. Subala, We love you. Together, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ. Wait. We behold the Krishna as you. All right. So now, prayer protection. The light of God surrounds us.
I am light.
The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. God bless you. Stay warm. Be sure and visit Joe at the back to sign up for the trip this next Sunday.